So in business rules, the difference between after and async business rule is after business rule, like until and unless after business rule will run, user won't be able to see the form loading. Okay, like the form will be in loading stage until and unless all the after business rule runs on that particular table. But instead of async business rule, it will create scheduler, and that scheduler will take care of executing that particular code. Okay, so and so like if there are any requirement and you don't want it to be run on real time, that means you don't want as soon as possible, then you can use asynchronous always. Okay, but if you want like on demand, like you want as soon as possible that data, then you have to use after business. Okay, and for like long running transactions, we should prefer async business rule itself. And one more difference between async and after business rule is in after business rule, for example, if I show you, there will be previous as well as current, both objects will be available. Okay, but in case of async business rule, previous object won't be available. Okay, why do we use previous is generally we will be having old value in like in the client script, right? Old value and new value. Similarly, in the business rule, we have previous, and I'll show you here. 1 second. So here it is a after business rule. So if you go to advanced and check, so here you can see current and previous. Okay. So previous, here you can see null when async. Previous won't be available when it is async business rule. Okay, so what it contains is, for example, the previous objective, I will show you. So generally, for example, we are changing the state from in progress to resolved. Okay, so if you write current dot state, you will get resolved as a value. Okay, if you want what is the previous value, then what you will do, previous dot state, if you use, you will get in progress. Okay, whenever if you want to change from in progress to resolved, current dot state will be resolved and previous dot save will state will be in progress. Okay, like that you can use this previous, but if it is async business rule, this previous will be null, it won't be available. Okay, that those are the differences. And coming to script includes. Okay, so here if you see, the business rule runs on a particular table and it closely works with a database. But instead of like the script include is independent code where it contains few. Okay, where it contains few functions. Okay, for example, if you take this particular script include, okay, it contains few functions and it can be called from anywhere, like any of the server side script, we can call this script include, and if it is client callable, we can even call this from client side as well. Okay, so what is script include? Script include is some independent block of code where it's kind of similar to library. Okay, where we will be defining the functions, some reusable functions, so that we can use those from any of the scripts. Okay, so for example, if you write a business rule, like for example, yesterday I wrote a business rule where I wanted to, like if I had to watch list, I want to add to assignment group. Okay, I wrote this particular script only for incident. For example, I want similar functionality for problem as well. Okay, so if I write in script include instead of directly writing in the business rule, I can reuse that function. Okay, So we can even check how we can reuse that. Like if you write in script include, you can call that script include from that particular business rule of like on the incident and the problem, and you can use the same function. You don't have to rewrite the code. Okay. So we'll see the documentation what it says, and we'll proceed. Okay. Script includes a reusable server-side script logic that define a function or a class. Okay. So what are script includes? Script includes are reusable. Like we can call that particular function n number of times whenever you want. Okay. So script includes a reusable server-side code that define a function or a class. So inside a class, we will be having multiple functions. We can define that. Okay. Either it can be a function or it can be a class. Okay. I'll tell you. So generally, if you see here, we are creating a class. Ajax util is a class, and in that class we have few functions as well. Okay, without even creating a class, you can directly even write a function. I'll tell you how we can write that. Okay, so script includes execute begin script logic only when explicitly called by other scripts. Okay, if you write any script include or any function, it won't run automatically. It won't run on any database, or it won't run until and unless it gets called from somewhere. It has to trigger. Okay, if you want to trigger from any of the other server side scripts like business rule or any of the workflow, okay, or from any of the event, if you are calling from any of the server side script, then how you have to call is you have to call new followed by the script include name. So here script include name is Ajax utils. Okay, if you are calling from any other scopes, you can use this particular API name as well. Okay, so you have to use this particular name. So whatever goes in here, like we have given new means we are instantiating, we are creating an object out of this particular class. Okay, so what is class and what is object is? Class is a prototype. So here it's a prototype where it will have some functions. Okay, it doesn't have any data, but when we give some data to that particular, when we provide some data to that particular function, okay, the object will be actual holding of that particular data. So it, and whenever you write a new followed by script include name, it will create an object. Okay, so in this particular object, we will hold all the functions. In this, you can call whatever the function you want to call. Object dot, for example, check duplicate is a function. We can call this function. Okay. So from any of the server side script, we will call like this. Otherwise, if you don't want to reuse this particular script include, you can directly even call like this. Like directly, what you can do, you can call dot check. You don't have to even store the object. You can directly call that particular function as well. Okay, like this as well. Both are same. Okay, even like this you can call. So this is the way to call script include. So what is script include? Which is reusable block of code. Script include is either a function or a class where it contains few functions. Okay. It's reusable block of function or a class. Script include execute only when it called from any of the server side. It is independent block of code where it will be execute only if we call from somewhere. Okay, if it trigger from somewhere. Okay, there are three types of, like, there are no such categories, but ideally there are three types of script includes. One is on demand or classless. Okay, and second is extending an existing class, and third one is defining a new class. So generally, whichever we use is defining a new class. I'll tell you. So before going to the types, we'll know what are the basic fields available in script include and what those are mean for us. Okay. So in the script include, we have name, that is the general script include name which we give. So whenever you are giving a name to any script include, try to start it with capital letter, because the class names, like if it is a class, try to start it with capital name, because all the script includes will start with capital name. Okay, like capital letters. If you see, I have written Ajax utils where A is capital. Then utils I have given U. So it is camel case we call it. Okay. And API name will be automatically, it will create based on our scope. So if you are in global scope, it will attach global. If you are in other scope, it will add that particular scope dot script include name. Okay. And we have client callable checkbox. So if you are, if you want to use this particular script include to call from client side, then we use, then we will be selecting client callable checkbox. Okay. If you see here, here there is a client callable checkbox, right? So whenever you want to use this particular script include to be called from client side as well, then we will check this checkbox. Again, there will be application based on whatever the application we have selected. This particular application will get automatically created. As of now, we are in global. For example, you want to create a new script include, for example, in App Engine Studio. Okay. So if you want to create, then you have to select App Engine Studio here. Okay. And if you want, you can create an update set where this particular script include will get captured. Okay. Like if you are moving, then you have to create update set as well. Then if you click on new, it will create any of the record. It will create in that particular application scope only. Okay. So if you are working on that particular scope, you have to select that particular scope here, and then you have to start working. Okay. So that is the scope which will be by default it will take. Okay. And caller access. Caller access is when scoped application restricted caller access. Okay. So caller access is, so like who can access this? Okay, caller access generally when the scope application restricted caller access plugin is installed, allows scoped applications to restrict access to the public tables and script includes. Okay, so whenever, so there will be a plugin called scoped application restricted caller access. So if that is installed, then we can allow it from like do you want to restrict it to public tables and script includes. So by default the value will be none, there won't be any restrictions. But if there is a caller restriction, then do not allow unless admin approves access by the scope. Okay, so admin has to approve in order to give that access. Caller tracking means allow access but tracked with scope access. So this is something which is related to access where we want to restrict it to being used. Okay. And so we don't use this much. So like whenever like if there is any caller restriction, how like generally the caller restriction will be to few script includes. For example, I'll show you how, like if it is caller restriction, how it will be visible. The field name is caller caller access is caller restriction. Okay. Generally, out of the box script includes will be there, right? So they will put this restriction so that we don't edit it until and unless there is a permission. Okay. So it is caller restriction. Let me change it to employee profile, that particular application. And if I refresh it, actually there is a caller access. Okay, that is a protection policy. Okay. So caller restriction is do not allow access unless admin approves the access by the scope. So the admins has to approve. So maybe this for this particular application there are no restriction, but generally there will be some restrictions. Okay, we can check that, but so admin has to approve. So if there is any caller restriction or caller tracking. Okay, so and there will be one field called accessible from. Okay, so whenever you are in a scoped application, okay, or in even in global application, okay, here application accessible from is this application only. Okay, so how this will work, I'll tell you. As of now, we are in the scope of employee profile, and if I go to background script and I'll try to call. So we are in employee profile application, employee profile scope, and I'm trying to call the scripting glue. So how I will call it from other script include, I'm in the, for example, I don't have access to other scopes here. That's why it might not be showing here. So should I create one scope? Let me create one application and then I'll try to access it from here. Okay. So I'll just create one application and I'll try to call it from here. Okay. So I'm creating the application here, one scope app. So demo is the application name. If you want, you can add some roles who can access it. It will take 1 or 2 minutes to create the app. So the app is created. Okay. So for example, you are in this particular demo. I don't know why there are two applications created. Okay, but whenever you are trying to call this, I'll tell you what is the error you will get and how we can change that. Okay. For example, you are in this particular demo scope and you are trying to call this particular scripting glue dot some function name. So if I run script, it is giving me error. It says illegal access to private scripting glue. Ajax util in the scope of global being called from this particular scope. Okay. So here there is no access to call that particular script include from global. Okay, so it says illegal access to private scope. Private script include, which is Ajax utils, which is in global scope. Okay, if you want to access it, what you have to do, you have to give accessible from all the application scopes so that we can access from any of the other scopes. Okay. So let as I'm in other scope, I didn't have the access. So in order to edit it, I need to be in global scope so that I can edit that Ajax utils. And now we can call this particular script include. Okay. So we have called it. So for the first time, it will automatically give the privileges. From second time, we can call that particular script include directly. And it got called. We didn't get any error. Why? Because we gave the access to call it from all the application scopes. And there is an active field. If it is disabled, we can't call those functions. Okay. Like it won't run. The description is normally in order to explain what is the purpose of that particular script include and all. And there will be one field called protection policy. Okay, whenever you create any script include, if it is set to read only, okay, instances on which application it is installed from ServiceNow store can read, but not edit that particular script include. Okay, so if it is on other instance, like for example, what we will be generally doing is, will be like there we won't set any protection here, right? But if it is any plugin, what they will do, I'll show you. So if the protection policy is read only, we won't be able to edit it. Okay, even if you are in that particular, like for example, this is in App Engine Studio. Okay, sorry, this is in demo, but demo is the correct. App Engine record is in App Engine Studio. Okay, so now I have selected demo. Is it? I'll select App Engine Studio. If I refresh it, I am not getting it. Okay, the scope is App Engine Studio. If I refresh it, like I'll click here in order to edit it, but it says this item is read only based on protection policy. Why? Because whoever has developed this, they said it's protected. Only wherever it got developed, only that particular instance developers can edit that particular script include. Others won't be able to edit it. Okay. So if you are writing any of the scoped application and you want to publish it to the store, and but if you don't want to others to edit this, then you can set it as read only. Okay. And if it is protected, then it will be, I guess we even can't be able to see it. Let's see what is the difference between protected and read-only policy. So now it is read-only, right? We won't be able to read it. And if it is protected, we can't even able to see what code they have written if it is protected. Okay, so that is the difference. Any doubts in these particular fields in the script include? Hello?
No, Sunil.
So we'll move. So in three script includes, we'll learn about what is on-demand script include. Okay. So on-demand script include is like where we can have a function. Okay, the script include itself, like it has only, it starts with the function. Okay, so if you see in this particular script include, the name of that particular script include and the function which we are writing in that particular script include should have the same name. Okay, that's why we call it as on-demand script include, or okay, so a script include that defines a single function known as on-demand or classless. Why we call it as classless? Because there is no class we are defining. Generally, there will be class that create, right? That particular code won't be there. We won't be creating class. Here, we are defining a function. Okay, and whenever we want that, we can call that particular function from anywhere. Okay, the function is callable from server-side script. On-demand script includes can be never be used client-side, even if its client callable option is selected. Okay, the script template is automatically inserted in script field. The template doesn't apply on demand. Delete the template and replace the function. So what it says is like, for example, if you are trying to create, let me go to the change the scope first. So whenever you are creating any news, sorry, it is selected protected. That's why it is not showing anything. And now, so generally, if you give some name, for example, you want to have some generic function where you want to use like very frequently, like for example, any logging, like instead of using gs.log, you want to use this or any other like array util or some. For example, we'll say the same example, sum of numbers. Okay, which is a function. Generally, it will create a class and all. Okay, so if it is, if you want this to be classless or on-demand script include, then we have to remove that and we have to create a function with the same name. Okay. Okay. So for example, we don't know how many arguments we'll get. I don't know if this works or not. Let's say arguments 1, 2. Okay, we have to submit and return check duplicate is it sum of numbers. So the function name of this particular script include and this particular function should be same. Okay, so if you do this, we can directly call this from anywhere. Like we don't have to use new and all. Okay, for example, where sum equals to sum of numbers 5, 6. 5 plus 6 is 11. Let me log this sum. It says sum of numbers is not defined. Let's see what is this thing. We have functions, but are we calling like we are calling from? We should call from global scope. Okay, that's why we're not getting it. So we got the proper output. So here we are not creating any script include and all. We are creating a global function where from anywhere without even creating an object we can call it. Okay. You can directly call from any business rule or script. Okay, so on-demand script includes are typically used when script logic needs to be reusable. Like if you have, like for example, mostly used functions. If you want, then you can use this particular script includes. Where examples like date formats, or enabling or disabling logging, or validating an email address. Like for these kind of functions, you can use these kind of requirements. Okay. This is on-demand scripting view. And next is one sec. So next type is extending a script include. So generally there will be one script include. We can extend from any of the other script includes. Okay. So for example, if you see here, my script include is our script include name. So we are creating a class, and here we are extending this object dot extend object, which is syntax to extend a script include. And here we have to give the script include name from where we are extending it. Okay. So when we will be extending a script include is when we want all the functions which are there in that particular script include. If you want it in our script include, and if you want to override a few of the functions, then we will extend any of the script include. Okay. So even client callable script includes will be extended. I'll show you. For example, so this is the new. It is an application demo. So there is a scope problem, but like generally, whenever you create any script include, okay. For example, script include name is number utils or something. Okay. So if you give the name, generally it is not extended from anything. We are just giving this initialize, and then we can even give some function name like that. Okay. But whenever you extend it, like how it will be doing, like even if you click on client callable, it extends from some other script include where we can use this dot get parameter and all. where those all will be, this will be in this particular script include, okay, which is global.abstract processor. Okay, like generally that is a client callable. Okay, similarly, even if it is not client callable, if you want to have any of the other script include to be extended. For example, I'll show you. Let's take example where I have the list of script includes. For example, array util is one script include. I want to be util. Okay. So there is some function called like we want to have this all the functions in even in our script includes. Okay. Then we can extend this. So how we can extend this is like for example, as of now to get this syntax, I am using this. Okay. So what I can see, I can just replace with array util here. Okay. After saving, I can remove this client callable. Okay. Now I'm extending that particular script include. Okay. So here I can use all these functions. Okay, so how I can use, I can even use it or I can even modify it, right? Okay, so what like extending means all the functions in here will be coming here. Okay, for example, I'll show you how we can use this. For example, number utils is a script include, but I can use all the other. Doesn't know. Okay, so I can use, for example, what? For example, I want to use index of. Okay, we have to pass array item and start index. Okay. Dot the function name index of. We have to pass an array and item to search. This is an array, and we have to pass an item which we have to search. For example, one is an item we want to search. I want to print it, what it's returning. It says 0. Okay, maybe if it don't find, it is returning a 0. Ideally, it should return -1. Okay, index of. Okay, let me check. Okay, one. We have found it at first position. That's why we are returning 0. If it is 2, 2 is not present here, right? So it will return -1. Okay. And if you check here, this particular script include, I have extended from array util. Okay, that's why I'm using the function which is in array util, even if it is not defined in this particular script include. Okay. In some cases, I may even want to override this particular function. Whenever we want to override, we have to create a function with the same name. Okay. Then then what we can, like, we can customize this function. For example, this returns hi. So whatever the code or any modification which we want to, we can do. So it is returning high. Why? Because we have overridden that particular function from array utility. Okay, that's how this extended functions, extended classes works. Okay. So coming to other types, I will check. So we have completed extended and classless, and we have normal scripting load as well. So generally, extending the glide Ajax as well, we have seen where we are extending the abstract Ajax process, which is client callable scripting load, right? That also an extendable class itself. Okay. So, and one more type of script include is the normal script include, which is class script include, which we generally create is like with the class name, proper class name, and where we can have few functions. For example, I am creating one function. I am creating one script include, which says, for example, string util is a function. Like script include name, which is a normal script include. Or okay, so in this, okay, it can accept few parameters like initial. So any of the normal script include will have initialize function by default. What is this initialize function is? Whenever you call this script include from somewhere saying new script include name, if you want to pass some variables to the script include, those will be going into initialize function. For example, a comma b we are accepting. Okay, some first parameter and second parameter we are passing. Okay, xyz1, something like that. Okay, so these two parameters it will accept. Okay, and whenever you want to use this like, so whenever we get this, what we'll do, we will be creating one variable, which is a class level variable we'll be creating by saying this dot, like it can be any name. We can, here we are creating class level variable. Okay, so class level variable, how we are creating, like we can give any name. Here as of now I'm giving this dot a equals to a, like I'm assigning this dot b equals to b, for example. Okay, so I'm assigning these variables to one class level variable. Okay, these class level variable or script include level variables we can use in any of the functions. Okay, for example, I have created a function which says concat. Okay, so concat So here I can directly use this dot A plus this dot B, which will concat. Okay. So for example, we might even need some space in between. Okay. So whenever you are calling it, you can use this. For example, I want to call it. Okay. Says dot concat. Here it doesn't accept anything, but this particular initialize function can accept. Okay. I'll show you how we can use. It can be something else as well. Okay. So, but all the functions can use this particular same variables. Okay. So here, if you see new script include name, for in the script include itself, I am passing some parameters and I am calling this particular function. Okay. Here I am concatenating and giving XYZ space RR. Okay. Similarly, I can even use other functions with the same variables. Okay. So there are other coming to other server side scripts, like we know about business rule. So now we have learned about what is the overview of script include, and there will be script action will as well. Script action is whenever there is an event, whenever some script has to be executed, whenever any event gets triggered, we use script action. And the schedule job, whenever we want to run any of the script based on certain time or any in repeated manner, then we use the schedule job. The UI actions. So UI actions, like whenever user clicks on any buttons or related links, if you want to use that, we can use UI actions. The background script is which we generally use to test the code which we write. Okay, fix script. So whenever we are loading some demo data in the scoped instances or installing an application or upgrading, if there is any code that has to be executed, that will be writing in the fix script. Okay, and notification email script.
Sunil,
So all these are different type of okay. Yeah, tell me.
Sunil, can you explain a bit about fix script? So normally, like in the organization, whenever they are sending any patch or something, sometimes they are using fix scripts to resolve the customer issues. So I did not understand the exact, how it will be resolving fix scripts. Like any example, can you provide us?
So generally, fix script we will be using in the applications. Like for example, I have created one application, scoped application, and I have given as and I created some fix script. Okay. So in order to run that particular application successfully, I need some data. Okay. Either it can be creating of any users or any records or any demo data, or either it can be creating of any configuration. Okay. So for example, I'll show you. There will be few existing fix scripts will be there. Okay. For example, this is the existing fix script. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this particular fix script, like they might add it as dependency or something. So whenever that particular, this is in actually it is in global. Let me check if there are any in other applications. For example, add missing attributes. Okay. So this particular fixed script is whenever we are using upgrades or whenever we are installing any of the application for the first time, these particular scripts will be run automatically. Okay. We don't have to specify to run. Like here, the configuration will be there, whether it's unloadable or before. Before means before actually installing the application, we might have to do some modifications. Those this particular script will be doing. Okay. Unloadable means I forgot. I need to check. We can check here. Okay, whenever any new application, if we install, right? So generally, how we will install new application? So we'll be going to plugins. Okay, there will be plugins. Lot of plugins will be available, which ServiceNow provides. From few will be from ServiceNow store, or few will be on demand, and few will be paid. Okay, so all the applications will be there, right? So as part of these applications, they might need to create some data, okay, or some configurations in order to run that particular application successfully. Okay. So as part of that particular application, they will create this fixed script. Okay. So when the fixed script gets created, so the fixed script is a server-side JavaScript code that runs after an application is installed or upgraded. Okay. Include fixed script to make changes that are necessary for the data integrity or product stability of an application. Okay. In order to run that particular application successfully, we have to create this fixed script. Okay. Administration can create, manage, run the script. Okay. There will be unloadable before and all. Unloadable is option to create customer update records when fixed script runs. Fixed script test enforce unloadable option. Option to create customer update record. So I guess unloadable means this fixed script will be adding as a update when this fixed script runs, so that it will even run in other instances. Okay, before, if you check the before checkbox, it will be running before the application install. First this particular fixed script will run, then the application will get installed. Okay, so this fixed script we will be using like whenever any new custom scoped application we install or upgrade, then we will be using this fixed script. Okay, so generally we can even use it as a background script as well, but ideal use of that particular fixed script is that. Okay, in any of the scoped application, if they want some configurations or data, they will use this. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so there are a lot of like server-side types which we have to know. Okay. Let me stop recording.